Hi, I'm Rob Patz.
And I'm Kristen Stanton.
And this is the Rob and Kristen Show. Just look at that, a brand new opening, a brand new set. It's just like a new year. It is. It's season 2 of the Rob and Kristen Show. And I know there are a lot of people that are going, I'm going to miss the fact that Kristen, the reactions, because we were, as our friend said, Ricky and Lucy, we were in 2 separate areas doing the show. So you could watch Kristen anticipate my joke or the laughter or whatever it was. But now we're together, same set, same place, same stage, new mugs. Actually, that mug is from Utah, so that's last year's mug. And this one's from Utah also. So they're both last year's mugs. We need more mugs. Give us mug suggestions. That's going to be a new part of the Rob and Kristen Show. Kristen doesn't drink coffee, so hers has water in it. Mine has water in it also because I'm fearful of spilling on myself during a show. Hey, listen, there might be a lot of new things, but there's one great thing that still stands the test of time, and that's the great folks at MyPillow. You know what, Kristen, right now, we're not that far away from Christmas. I know for a lot of people, they're still saying, well, Halloween hasn't happened yet, and all this stuff, but Christmas is around the corner.
Really, really close.
It is. And one of the great things you can do is get pillows and sheets and slippers, not for somebody else. Slippers? Now you can get slippers for somebody else. I could see that. But sheets and pillow for yourself. Celebrate the holiday season. You know, a lot of times people get to be home more for the holidays. There's nothing better than brand new sheets and brand new pillowcases and pillows. Get the whole thing. Go to mypillow.com. Use the promo code ATV. Help us out here with the show, and we appreciate each and every one of you. You know something else that is going to be the same as last year? Do you know something?
I have no idea.
Well, it's 5 things we think you should know here on the show. You know, I love to go out and eat. It's one of my favorite things. Is eating in general is one of my. This is why now you're seeing me in a much bigger screen and you're realizing Rob needs to lose some weight. He does, but we're not going to talk about that. Maybe we will in a future episode. We have started a health journey. We'll talk about that maybe. But you know, I love to eat.
Yes, I do know that.
And I think this is a cool idea, and I think we should get some friends together and start something like this. But this is really cool. A great story out of Massachusetts. This group of friends, we don't know if they're all men. They could be men and women. We don't know. It doesn't say in the story. But these guys get together and they go someplace for breakfast. They went to an IHOP and they had breakfast and they get together. Now, they don't do this every week. It's like you said, it was like once
every couple of months.
Every couple of months. Now, the neat thing that they did, though, is they blessed their wait staff person with a tip of $1,300.
Can you imagine that? $1,300?
Well, I mean, if you're doing that kind of work, you know, 20% is considered really good.
Right.
So to get $1,300, and I'm guessing there weren't that many people that a $1,300 tip would have been justified. So this is super cool. What an important thing. Hey, you know what? I want to challenge people. If you're out there and you've heard about this and you think, wow, we could do that, grab some friends together, maybe from church or maybe some people that you have like in your circle at your office, and maybe once a month or so, go someplace neat.
Well, that was how they started this. They were known as the $1,000 Breakfast Club, right?
Yeah.
And they saw somebody in California doing it, and they said, well, we want to start that. And so they were posting it on social media, just not to draw attention to themselves, but really to encourage other people in different parts of the country to do the same thing.
Right.
So I think it's a great idea. And you know, the thing is, we have no idea if these people are people of faith or not people of faith, but how much of an impact could we make on the world if people of faith were to do something like this?
Oh, I think it would be awesome. It would be almost as awesome as maybe flamingos. I love flamingos. When I get older, we're going to have flamingos in our yard.
No, we will not have flamingos in our
Pink
yard.
flamingos in our yard.
No, we will not have pink flamingos in our yard. However,
I thought it said pink flamingos. I thought that's what we were talking about, our yard.
we are talking about pink flamingos, but these pink flamingos were actually found off the coast of Lake Michigan, north of Milwaukee.
So they're up in that part. If you know anything
Okay.
about Michigan, they're up in that kind of
Well, this
part.
was in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. And
Right.
so you think about it, if you're not sure where Milwaukee is on Lake Michigan, pull out a map and look at it, because flamingos are not supposed to be this far north.
I bet you those flamingos were like, this is way too cold.
They probably were. They were probably standing in the water of Lake Michigan going, this doesn't feel quite right. Seems awfully cold, but
Yes.
normally they're in Florida, they're on the Gulf Coast, they're in the Caribbean, they're in the northern part of South America, and somehow they managed to find their way to Wisconsin.
My question is, they fly, I know, but I didn't realize they flew with that much range. Because that's a long way to fly.
It is. There are some of the bird people out there. I would say what it is, but I probably wouldn't be able to pronounce it.
The bird dudes.
No, but these birdists, they say that they're speculating that it was because of the hurricane winds that pushed them that far north. That's what they think.
That is so crazy. And now, did they catch them and then rehome them back to? No, just let them go. We may have. Hey, we may have flamingos in our yard.
I
They
don't
may
think
not be the
so.
plastic ones. They may be real ones. I don't know. I love flamingos. I do. Really, honestly, I do. I think they're a cool animal that God created. The next thing I think that is so amazing that God created inside of a lot of people are artists.
Yeah.
And at times, we've got art on our wall. This story, though, cracked me up because this guy's pretty smart. So there's this Danish artist, and he was commissioned to create some art. Now, he had created art for them in the past for this museum, and this is really good stuff. Now, this reminds me, and I'm going to get off this story for just a second. This reminds me of my homework.
Great.
This reminds me of
I
when I
don't
was
know
young.
what's coming.
This reminds me when I was a kid and had homework to do. I would have done this. So here's what he did. He must have come up to the time frame. He grabbed 2 frames. Probably went to Dollar General if they have Dollar General in
Denmark.
Denmark, yeah. He went there. He got 2 frames empty and turned them in. And claimed that was his work. It was, I think he called it, was a work in progress or something like, work it out is what it was. And that was what he titled it. Now, here's the problem. As clever as that might be for you and I, yeah, the people that he sold this to didn't quite find it nearly as funny as you and I do.
Well, no, because and this is the problem. So we all know that if you're an artist, you can do anything. And we were in the art museum in Portland, Maine. And there were some things that were hanging on the wall where I thought, I could do that, Rob. I thought that I could. And so if you're an artist, you can do anything and you can say that it's art. And so for him, it was a great title. It was representative to him of his work at the moment. And the problem is that he had some kind of contract because he was commissioned to recreate other pieces of work. And so a Danish court actually ruled that he had to give back the money that they gave to him. He's appealing it. He's saying, I'm not a criminal. I did nothing wrong. I shouldn't have to return the money.
But it was tied to another series that he had done, and they wanted him to continue that. Unfortunately, he kind of went. It was a nice try, though, buddy. It was really good. It didn't work in my homework when I was in middle school. It's not going to work for you either. Just give the money back. I think it's a good idea. I don't know. But you know what? We cannot do a top 5. It doesn't seem like. without being unbearably cute.
Yes.
I mean, look, I'm unbearably cute.
No, but there is another bear in the news. Now, I don't think it's Ben the bear.
It's not Ben, no.
You know, Ben is, still.
This is his buddy, though.
It's
I
still
truly believe this is
How do
probably...
you know it's his buddy?
Because he was trying to get on a boat. More props to you.
He thought maybe the boat would take him to
Texas.
to the moat that goes around Ben's habitat, maybe?
Probably.
Yeah.
Yeah, it could
Yeah.
have been.
Well, this is no joke. So in southern Florida, in Naples of all places, now they say that bears are in Naples in different places, but this black bear was caught on camera first in the water, and then they saw him walking across this catamaran. I mean, we saw the video.
Yep.
This was not just like a tiny bear cub.
Nope. Nope, this is a big bear.
And then, the people were like, this can't be a black bear walking on a boat. They said, we've seen alligators, we've seen dolphins, we're used to seeing sharks, we're used to seeing these things, but we've never seen a black bear. Not here, not on the bay. And that's what they did.
You know what the people were complaining?
I have no idea.
It was unbearable. Just couldn't help myself.
No, twice in one story.
Okay,
No, you can't help it.
Here's the thing I want to ask, because next story number 5 of the week, is bears are fast. Like,
Right?
I mean, they can run,
They
right?
are very fast.
They are. But this next story, we've got a tortoise. Now, when you think of a tortoise, of course, we all go back to the tortoise and the hare, right?
Uh-huh.
Yeah. So tortoise is not fast. Obviously, though, in Pennsylvania, the tortoises are faster because we have a story about a tortoise at a vet clinic who has not just once, not just twice, but 3 times escaped and has been missing. Now, if I'm first place, no shade on this veterinarian, but after the first time, am I really trusting this guy as a veterinarian? Because he's going, and the second thing, how often do they check on him? Because tortoises don't move that fast. Do they? Obviously, maybe he'd been like busted out for a week. It took him a week to get. Now, we don't know the full story. We don't know if he dug out or how he got to wherever it was he escaped from. Now, we do know he was outside.
He was outside. The vet has actually called him Houdini.
Yes, I totally believe that.
Yeah, I do too. If a tortoise can break loose, not once, not twice, 3 times, and they spend a lot of time walking around the premises trying to figure out how he got out. I don't really know.
I'm shell-shocked.
That was cute.
It was cute, wasn't it? Hey, you know what? We have a video package. We went and had fun this summer. That's why we haven't been here, though we love doing the show. We went and had a great time over the summer, and now we want to show you some of that. So cue the video package.
Please for the cabin for departure.
Head southwest on 4th Street toward Cross Street.
Hey, we are in Portland, Maine, and I'm here with Richard, his son. Of course, his dad, Del, his son, does a great show on Abundant TV called Joy for the Journey. You're on there on occasion.
On occasion, but you don't let me on there very often.
Not very often.
This
No.
is the first.
Hey, tell everybody, this is, of course, is it the oldest lighthouse in the United States?
It's called the Portland Head Lighthouse.
Yes.
I have not a clue, but it's an old
You're
lighthouse.
from Maine. There's not much here, so you should know this kind of stuff.
I should.
But anyway, it is actually the most photographed lighthouse in the world. Guinness Book, actually.
Yes.
It's very cool.
And it's gorgeous. You should see the panoramic views of the ocean. It's
Yes,
wonderful.
we'll insert some pictures. But check out Joy for the Journey Thursdays at 7:30 and Fridays at 8 p.m. on Abundant TV.
What are we having?
Breakfast at Marcy's.
What are you eating?
As much as possible. 2 eggs, over easy. Some Canadian bacon, toast, I think, and pancakes. This is what I love. I love corner diners, and that's actually literally what this is. Corner of a street here in Portland, Maine, just having an amazing time. Thanks so much for joining us on our adventures.
is a foot shorter.
That's awesome. And that was so much fun. We went to Portland, Maine. This was honeymoon
3.
honeymoon 3.
So just in case you're wondering, it was actually our second anniversary.
Yes.
But it was honeymoon 3 because our first anniversary was honeymoon 2.
Honeymoon 2. So here we go. See, this is good. Hey, I love this new set. I love this new way of doing it. It gives us new freedom. But one of the things when we went to do the show and went to do season 2 that I really wanted to do was the teaching part, because this is impactful. This is what we heard the most about. I was hoping people would say, you know what, we love Rob because he's funny. Nope, that wasn't it. It was always Kristen. And you know what? She made us think. I guess it's better to think than be funny. So I guess that's what we're going to have to do. But what are we going to talk about today?
We are going to talk a little bit about the widow woman in 2 Kings chapter 4. So if you are not listening to our podcast, I just want to give a really quick plug for our podcast because I really went in depth on this section. But today we're going to talk a little bit more about this widow woman in 2 Kings chapter 4. So if you're following along, in verse 1, we're starting in verse 1, it says, "A certain woman of the wives of the sons of the prophets cried out to Elisha, saying, 'Your servant, my husband, is dead, and you know that your servant feared the Lord, and the creditor is coming to take my 2 sons to be slaves.'" So here she is, and she's in this dire position where this is not just okay, well, I'll go and get a job. She had nothing, and she knew that her sons were going to be taken away fairly quickly as slaves. And Elisha said to her, "What shall I do for you? Tell me, what do you have in the house?" And I love this because she asked Elisha, and Elisha said, "What do you want me to do for you?" And then without waiting for her to answer, he said, "What do you have in the house?" In other words, what do you have? Because he is trying to show us, and God is trying to show us in this passage, that we already have everything that we need in order to do what it is that God wants us to do, or in order to move past, in order to move through, go above and beyond. We already have that. And this is how we know this. She said that she had nothing in the house except a pot of oil. She thought she had nothing. She could have stopped, and the passage could have said, "I have nothing in the house." And if she would have said that, that probably would have been the end of this passage, because God can't do anything if you think that you have nothing. But you have to look further, and you have to think, God has already given you something. What is it that you have that God has given to you? Because whatever that thing is that God has given to you is how you're going to get to the next level. What it is that God's going to take you is going to use that which you already have. And so Elisha said to go borrow vessels. And he said, we were talking about this in the podcast. He said, go borrow vessels, even empty vessels, and don't borrow just a few. And so she went and she was gathering up these vessels. Now, first of all, Rob, it had to take a lot of faith for her to go to her neighbors and, knock on their door and say, excuse me, do you have any vessels? Do you have any pots that I can use? And here she was, and she was taking all of these vessels. That's her first act of faith, believing what the prophet said. Okay, go and do this. How many times do we hear the little nudge of God to go do something and we say, that doesn't make any sense. I'm not going to do that. That just makes no sense at all. And sometimes God works through those things that don't make any sense because he wants us to walk in faith. Walk in faith, not by sight, right?
That's it. The other thing I think is kind of interesting here, and we may have to talk on this next week also, but I think of the fact that sometimes people expect God to bless them without any action. And so here's what he said. He said, go and find vessels. So her blessing just didn't happen. And God could have. He could have materialized vessels right in front of her full of the oil.
God could have done anything that he wanted to. He could have said, okay, here's money. He could have rained whatever she needed down from heaven. We saw him do that with the manna. God can do any of these things, but he chose instead to require her to walk, to go do something, to borrow these vessels. And this is what I think is really important too. She had to continue to go. And, we talked about this on the podcast. What if she got, no, go away, I don't have any. And she kept hearing that, go away, I don't have any, just leave me alone. And then she probably also heard the, well, what do you need this for? What are you going to do? People probably wondered, what is she doing? And so when she gathered all of the vessels that she could, Elisha instructed her to close the door. Close out the world. And sometimes God wants you to just close out everybody else so that he can do the things that he needed to do. But that's not where her faith stopped. She had to then take the oil that she had and start pouring. And she had to pour it. And to the natural person, we'd go, this is just dumb. Why are we pouring oil? Why am I transferring it from this vessel to this vessel? But she did it anyway. And when she poured that oil, all of a sudden, this vessel was full. And she poured the oil and this vessel was full. And the blessing that God bestowed upon her did not stop until she didn't have any more vessels. That's the kind of faith that God wants us to have. He wants us to just continue to be open. And as long as we are open to God and open to the work of God, God will continue to pour out himself upon us in all of the things that we do, and he will continue to bless us in those things. Now, the last thing that I kind of want to talk about is really important because he's told her to borrow vessels, even empty vessels. And I think sometimes we forget that the empty vessels are just as important, and the empty people that we see around are just as important as everything else. Because if we didn't have those empty people to pour into, then at what point in time does the blessing God put on us stop?
Wow. That is really cool. Okay, we might do this again next week because this is really powerful stuff. Hey, listen, we appreciate you. Remember, if you're looking for slippers, pillows, sheets, all kinds of neat stuff, go to mypillow.com. Use the promo code ATV. And the most important thing that we tell you every week, go out and live an abundant life.